Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So this video was filmed in late November, my last week in Montreal. And so here on that day, I was around the L'Église metro station. So the L'Église means the church, and there is a really nice church outside the metro station here. It's a warm, sunny day. So this church kind of looks like a castle. And just looking around, I'm gonna find a new cafe that I've never been to around this area. So one of the aspects that I love about Montreal is that many of the streets are kind of like going back in time, going back to the 1980s and 1990s, very nostalgic. And here I'm outside this cafe called Le Cinquième, or the Fifth Cafe. Okay, and here I'm walking in. It looks pretty spacious in there and not too busy. So I'm here for lunch. So I ordered a vegan sandwich with some carrot soup and a cup of latte. As always, I sketched my food and drink. And after eating, I'm ready to sketch the interior view in front of me. I love the shelves and all of the stuff on it. So I already spent a little bit of time visualizing and being aware of all the three dimensions in this interior space. So first of all, I'm going to draw the counter area. This counter is actually a giant rectangular prism. In other words, a giant box shape. Okay, so I just drew the two sides of the box shape, and before those two ladies walk away, I'm going to sketch them around the right hand side. This one is wearing a backpack. The arms are a bit foreshortened. I can't really see the forearm, just the elbows and the legs and the boots. So the calf area is always thinner compared to the thigh area, and I want to color in her boots with solid black just so her body looks like it's heavier. And drawing the other lady with a little ponytail. So people are always shifting their body positions and gestures all the time. That's what they're supposed to be. They're living humans. And so I'm actually drawing these lines from my impressions or a bit of memory work. And that's okay. We can't really copy those people exactly because they can't stay still. And just finishing the three dimension of the counter area, the brim. And after that, I'm ready to start building this up. So this is the shelf in the back against the back wall. This is another rectangular prism shape. And now I'm drawing these little ornaments such as picture frames. This one actually has a nice quote. And the quote is in French, and I think it says, "Cultivate your garden." And that reminds me of the novel, The Secret Garden. So the exact sizes and proportions of these objects are not exactly the same as in real life, because this is a freehand drawing. We don't have to be, 100% accurate. And here's a really cute straw hat. And I think I drew it a little bit smaller than in real life just to make sure it fits on the right side of the shelf. If you're drawing a little bit too big or a little too small, that's fine. The overall thing is still gonna make sense. And now I'm adding another little pot of plant around the edge of the counter on the left. This one might be a napkin box. And some more easy three-dimensional shapes in cubes and rectangular prisms. This one I think is the pastry display shelf with these tags with the names of the pastries on them and the cute little shapes to draw the muffins and cookies, a little accentuation around the frame. And there's like a dark black tag behind there. And just drawing this thing, I think this is a jar of cookies. And there's another sign here on top. Alright, keep moving on towards the middle. Okay, so this girl just came in and leaning onto the counter talking to the barista. It's a very interesting gesture, so I just drew that pretty quickly before she moved her position. Yeah, and again moving towards the back again. I want to wait for the barista to come back to the front view. So she's like talking to the girl leaning to the counter. While waiting, I'm drawing this back wall area. This is, I think, the coffee dispenser machine. And these cubicles. Now I'm drawing these books and the interior of each little cubicle. So each of these cubicles are inverted rectangular prisms, and we could see the little ceiling area and one side wall and more books. A little accentuation here and there. And moving on to the next level for the shelf. Right, so finished drawing the interior of this cubicle, and then there is a nice figurine standing here. And more little thingies like little cups or something like that. I'm just focusing on the most simple shapes that I see and not stressing on drawing what those things really are. There's another little sign there and some more little objects. The interior of the cubicle. And just keep drawing these simple shapes, and you don't have to be way too specific. You want to keep them simple and let the viewer to imagine what those things could be. Kind of finishing this shelf area. So I just drew the facet. There is a sink area there in the back. Okay, that's very much it for the left side of this sketch. And now I see the girl barista is in a very nice front view, drawing her hair, her glasses, her notes, and her relaxing smile. Now it looks like she is interacting with a girl in front of her. Sometimes you do have to wait for that important character in your sketch to come back to a pretty ideal position. And drawing these lamps on the ceiling, adding little bits of details, and actually they are actually dangling on wires hanging down from the ceiling. Okay, now adding this pretty important line that defines the division between the back wall and the ceiling. There's some little posters on the back wall, and here is the fridge. The fridge is a really typical rectangular prism. And adding some more coffee machines or something. Okay, this is another coffee dispenser here, coffee storage. And finishing the barista's upper body. She's like serving the girl. Alright, so now I'm coming back to the fridge to finish drawing it, and there are actually some magnets or little notes on the side of the fridge, adding a little hatching around the back wall there. There's a pretty obvious patch of shadow there, and the doors of the fridge. Some boxes on top. And then the shelves of drinks and other bakery items in there. Moving on to the counter area on the right side. Some more machines. This one is probably the espresso machine with some mugs stacking on top. And they're usually a pretty dark metallic color. So using vertical hatching to show the metallic tone. Finishing this important line that divides the ceiling and the back walls. The back wall is actually divided into several sides, bending. And then I just drew those vertical lines that I see, and keeping it really loose. They don't have to come all the way down and attach to those ladies' heads. Just keep it loose and free flowing there for those vertical lines. Now I'm adding these pretty important lines on the ceiling that helps define the 3 dimension of the ceiling. So the ceiling is not flat, it's actually more of a dome shape. Okay, yeah, like that, in squares. Okay, after that I am just adding some final bits of details, these wooden planks on the exterior of the counter. That's it. Just keep it loose and simple without overworking, and some smaller lamps. That's it. And here is a look of my finished line work. It took me like 20 minutes to draw. I just know the right time to stop when I think there's enough details. Now it's time to paint. I'm using my Etchr brand watercolors containing 24 half-ton watercolors, but I don't use all the 24 colors. Most of the time I use an average 8 to 10 colors only. So grabbing my Holbein brand water brush, very bold and watery. Squeezing the handle of the water brush a little bit to wet the wall areas with a bit of clear water, and adding the luminosity, the warm feeling of the lamplight onto the back wall and the shelf. This is a mix of cadmium yellow and a little bit of orange diluted to keep it really mellow. And just keep spreading this nice warm color around. It doesn't need to be a solid even wash. So for some areas it could be even more diluted or less diluted with more stronger paints, especially surrounding the lamp areas. And some strong orange yellow, mixing a little burnt sienna into the orange yellow to spice up the color a little bit. This is like a solid wooden area. So in general, for solid objects, you could mix in less water into the paint pigment. This is the first layer, and a quick second layer on top containing less water. So the color looks more solid. There's kind of transition of brown tones controlled by water, and grabbing a little leftover bluish gray for the top of the back wall area for a little bit of shade. And the wooden boards of this shelf is a light yellow color, grabbing a little yellow ochre and medium yellow or cadmium yellow. So the fun thing about painting watercolors that it's actually pretty hard to paint a very even wash. I actually love the unevenness of this paint medium, so I could see some traces of my brush marks. It's like a little relief to create a sense of energy. And same for the ground area, a nice glow of yellow-orange. Now starting to paint in the solid objects like the straw hat and the cups and flower pots up on there. As I mentioned before, for painting these solid objects, you could mix in less water and more paint pigment compared to the wall area. Yeah, just playing around with the leftover oranges and browns on my palette area. Keep mixing my own gray with ultramarine blue and royal purple to paint the interior of these cubicles. Okay, so now the shelf is looking more three-dimensional with the shade color added on, and a bit of playful pinkish brown for there. There's something I observe. And then the rim of the counter, a lot of nice brown colors and red brown colors as well. And grabbing a bit of leftover green. So there needs to be a more variety of colors in here, not just the yellows and browns. And also the rim of the pastry shelf is also a glassy bluish green. And I'm really taking my time to paint this area, so it's taking a little longer than usual. That's fun. Yeah, so and then grabbing some nice vibrant green, like peacock green, to paint these house plants and the signs, spine area of the books that I see, these leafy plants. Yeah, so these greens are really spicing up this sketch. A bit of more gray for the espresso machine here, and the metallic surface of the fridge. So as you can see, they're gradually heavier and more muted colors as I'm layering this painting. So now there's a pretty nice balance of warm and cold colors, or vibrant and muted colors. And putting these little pink dots for the barista's sweater, mixing an interesting purple and a bit of blue for the shade for her shirt. And painting these people's hair. Yeah, a lot of them are blonde. A little darker brown shade for the hair and some more gray for these metallic surfaces. And layering it so there's more contrast. And this is the final polishing stage. So I'm mixing green, blue, and magenta together to paint this chunk of wall in the back there. It's actually painted black, but I want to make that black more interesting by mixing my own. And then using orange to make those lamps even more vibrant and inviting. Paint these people's outfits. Mixing my own grays, purplish grays, bluish grays, and a bit of shadow on the bottom of the counter. Some heavier yellow oranges for these lamp glow. Yeah, final brush strokes. That's it. So here's the look of my finished sketch. In total, it took me like 45 minutes. Thank you so much for watching this video, everyone. If you like it, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates. And I'll see you again very soon next time. Have a great day, everyone.